A city swallowed by shadows. Picture a city bathed in the golden light of the Mediterranean, its streets alive with the clamor of merchants, philosophers, and scribes. Envision a towering lighthouse piercing the night sky, guiding ships laden with treasures, both material and intellectual, to its shores. This was ancient Alexandria, a metropolis born from the ambition of Alexander the Great, a place where the world's knowledge converged in a single, magnificent edifice, the Library of Alexandria. For centuries, it stood as a beacon of human ingenuity, a repository of secrets that spanned continents and epochs. And then, it was gone. What became of this radiant jewel of antiquity? Did it crumble beneath the weight of time, or was it snuffed out by forces too dark to fathom? The disappearance of ancient Alexandria's grandeur is not a mere footnote in history. It is a riddle wrapped in whispers, a tale that refuses to rest. Historians offer their measured accounts, but beyond their pages lurk conspiracy theories that hint at deliberate destruction, hidden agendas, and knowledge too powerful to be left in the open. As an explorer of history's shadowed corners, I invite you to step into this labyrinth of mystery. What truths lie buried beneath the ruins? What secrets were lost, or perhaps, concealed? The answers may elude us, but the questions will haunt us forever. Historical foundations. The rise of a legendary realm. To unravel the enigma of Alexandria's disappearance, we must first trace its origins. Founded in 331 BCE by Alexander the Great, the city was a testament to his vision of a unified world. Strategically perched on Egypt's northern coast, Alexandria became a crossroads of cultures: Greek, Egyptian, Persian, and later Roman. After Alexander's death, the Ptolemaic dynasty seized control, transforming the city into a dazzling hub of commerce, art, and intellect. At the heart of this thriving metropolis stood the Library of Alexandria, established under Ptolemy I Soter around 283 BCE. More than a collection of scrolls, it was a living institution, paired with the Mausoleum, a temple to the muses that housed scholars in a setting akin to a modern university. Estimates of its holdings vary wildly, from 40,000 to 700,000 scrolls, a treasure trove that included works of philosophy, science, mathematics, and poetry from across the ancient world. Here, Euclid penned his Elements, Archimedes devised his ingenious machines, and Eratosthenes measured the Earth's circumference with uncanny precision. In the 4th century CE, Hypatia, a brilliant mathematician and philosopher, illuminated its halls until her brutal murder signaled the twilight of Alexandria's intellectual golden age. The city itself was a marvel. The Pharos lighthouse, one of the 7 wonders, cast its beam across the sea, while the bustling port welcomed ships from distant lands, their cargoes spilling into markets and mines alike. Alexandria was a melting pot. Greeks debated alongside Egyptians, Jews crafted their Septuagint, and later, Christians and Romans added their voices to the chorus. But beneath this vibrant surface, tension simmered. Political rivalries, religious strife, and the shifting tides of empire loomed large. The library, a symbol of universal knowledge, would soon find itself ensnared in a web of forces that threatened its very existence. The fall of the library, a tapestry of destruction. The disappearance of Alexandria's ancient splendor is inextricably tied to the fate of its library, yet that fate remains cloaked in ambiguity. Unlike the pyramids, which endured through millennia, or the Colossus of Rhodes, felled by an earthquake, the library's end defies a single explanation. Was it consumed in a single, apocalyptic blaze, or did it fade slowly, a victim of neglect and decay? The historical record offers fragments, contradictory, tantalizing fragments, that only deepen the mystery. Consider the earliest blow. In 48 BCE, Julius Caesar arrived in Alexandria amidst a civil war between Cleopatra and her brother Ptolemy XIII. Trapped by an Egyptian fleet, Caesar ordered his troops to set fire to the ships in the harbor. The flames, according to Plutarch, spread to the city and destroyed the great library. Yet Cassius Dio, writing later, mentions only the burning of docks and warehouses, leaving the library's fate uncertain. Did the fire leap to the Brauchian district, where the library stood, or was this an exaggeration born of hindsight? Fast forward to the 3rd century CE, when Alexandria became a pawn in Rome's imperial struggles. The Palmyrene queen Zenobia seized the city around 270 CE, only for Emperor Aurelian to reclaim it with brutal force. The Brauchians suffered grievously. Could this have been the moment the library's remnants perished? Historians speculate, but no definitive evidence emerges from the rubble. Then, in 391 CE, a new chapter unfolded. Theophilus, the Christian bishop of Alexandria, led a campaign against pagan temples, targeting the Serapeum, a sanctuary that housed a daughter library. The 5th century historian Orosius later claimed that this act obliterated what remained of Alexandria's scholarly legacy. Yet contemporary accounts, such as those of Ammianus Marcellinus, describe the temple's destruction without mentioning books. Was the library already a ghost by then, or did Theophilus strike a fatal blow? Finally, the Arab conquest of 642 CE offers the most infamous tale. Centuries later, the historian Ibn al-Kifti recounted that Amr ibn al-Az, the conquering general, sought guidance from Caliph Umar about the library's books. Umar's alleged reply: if they agree with the Quran, they are redundant; if they oppose it, they are heretical. Burn them, condemned the scrolls to fuel Alexandria's bathhouses for 6 months. Dramatic, yes, but this story surfaces 600 years after the event, unsupported by earlier sources like the chronicler John of Nikiu. Is it history or myth? These accounts paint a picture of gradual decline rather than sudden catastrophe. The library likely withered over centuries, its scrolls lost to fire, plunder, and apathy. But the gaps in this narrative, the silences between the lines, invite darker interpretations. What if these events were not accidents but orchestrated acts of erasure? What if the library's disappearance was the work of hands unseen, driven by motives too sinister to confess? Conspiracy theories: the shadows deepen where history falters, imagination thrives. The destruction of the Library of Alexandria has spawned a constellation of conspiracy theories, each more beguiling than the last. These tales suggest that the library's fate was no mere misfortune but a deliberate act, its knowledge suppressed or stolen by forces that feared its power. Let us venture into this realm of shadows and explore the whispers that echo through time. Religious zealotry: the purge of pagan wisdom in the flickering torchlight of history's darker corridors. A chilling narrative emerges, one that casts the disappearance of ancient Alexandria's intellectual soul as a deliberate act of religious fanaticism. The Library of Alexandria, that grand repository of human thought, stood as a monument to the pagan world, a temple not of gods but of ideas, its shelves groaning under the weight of scrolls from Greece, Egypt, Persia, and beyond. To some, it was a beacon of enlightenment; to others, a blasphemous affront. Could it be that the library's fate was sealed not by accident but by the hands of zealots, driven by a burning desire to erase the wisdom of the old gods and replace it with their own divine truth? This conspiracy theory weaves a tale of holy wrath, shadowy motives, and a war against knowledge itself, a tale that lingers like smoke over the ruins of a once great city. The seeds of suspicion, a clash of faiths. Alexandria in its heyday was a crucible of cultures, where Hellenistic philosophy mingled with Egyptian mysticism and Jewish theology. The library, born under the Ptolemaic dynasty, embodied this synthesis, preserving texts that predated and defied the rise of monotheism. Works by Homer, Plato, and Aristarchus sat alongside treatises on astronomy and mathematics, knowledge that challenged the emerging Christian worldview. As the Roman Empire embraced Christianity in the 4th century CE, the city's pagan heritage became a lightning rod. The library, with its vast collection of heathen writings, was no longer just a scholarly haven, it was a target. The theory begins with whispers of unease among early Christian leaders. Figures like Clement of Alexandria and Origen had once walked the city streets, engaging with pagan texts to bolster their theology. But as the church solidified its power, tolerance waned. The old gods, Zeus, Isis, Serapis, were branded demons, their temples razed, their followers persecuted. The library, a bastion of secular and pagan thought, could not escape this tide. What if its destruction was not a byproduct of chaos but a calculated purge, orchestrated by those who saw its scrolls as a threat to their monopoly on truth? Hypatia's blood, a martyr for knowledge. The conspiracy deepens with the fate of Hypatia, the last great scholar of Alexandria's golden age. A mathematician, astronomer, and philosopher, she taught at the Mouseion in the early 5th century, her lectures drawing students from across the Mediterranean. Hypatia was a pagan, a woman of reason in an age of faith, and her brilliance made her a symbol of both the library's legacy and its vulnerability. In 415 CE, she met a gruesome end. A Christian mob, incited by followers of Bishop Cyril, Theophilus's nephew and successor, dragged her from her chariot, stripped her, and tore her apart with oyster shells. Her body was burned, her works lost to time. Here, the theorist's voice drops to a whisper. Was Hypatia's murder a random act of fanaticism, or a warning shot? Her death came decades after the Serapeum's fall, yet it echoes the same intolerance. Some speculate that she guarded remnants of the library's knowledge, teaching ideas deemed heretical by the Church. Her assassins, linked to Cyril's power, might have acted to snuff out not just a woman but a living connection to Alexandria's past. The brutality of her execution, public, savage, unpunished, suggests a message: the age of pagan wisdom was over, and its defenders would pay in blood. The Arab conquest, a final cleansing? The theory stretches further, to the Arab conquest of 642 CE, when Amr ibn al-As seized Alexandria for the Muslim Caliphate. The library's fate, if any of it survived, hung in the balance. Centuries later, the historian Ibn al-Kifti spun a tale that has haunted imaginations ever since. Amr sought guidance from Caliph Umar about the city's books. Umar's reply, as recounted, was chilling: if these writings agree with the Quran, they are superfluous; if they disagree, they are heretical. Burn them. The story claims the scrolls fueled Alexandria's bathhouses for 6 months, their wisdom reduced to steam. Historians scoff at this account. It emerges 600 years after the event, unsupported by contemporary sources like John of Nicaea, who chronicled the conquest. The tale smells of medieval propaganda, a jab at Islamic rule from Christian or secular pens. Yet the conspiracy theorist clings to it. What if it holds a kernel of truth? Not the bathhouses, perhaps, but a deliberate destruction. The Arabs, like the Christians before them, might have seen the library's pagan and Greco-Roman heritage as a rival to their own sacred narrative. Could Umar's order, real or fabricated, reflect a deeper intent to erase Alexandria's ancient voice? Analysis: faith or fiction? Step back, and the theory phrase under scrutiny. The library's decline predates Theophilus, Caesar's fire in 48 BCE and Ptolemy VIII's purge of scholars in 145 BCE had already weakened it. By 391 CE, the Serapeum's collection, if substantial, was a shadow of the original. Hypatia's murder, horrific as it was, targeted a person, not an institution. And the Arab conquest likely found a city long stripped of its scholarly crown. Fustat, not Alexandria, became the new capital, signaling a shift in focus. Yet the gaps invite speculation. The Church's rise did coincide with violence against pagan sites, and figures like Theophilus and Cyril wielded power with ruthless zeal. The absence of clear records, why no Christian text mourns the library's loss, hints at suppression. The Umar story, though dubious, taps into a timeless fear, that faith, in its fervor, might sacrifice knowledge to dogma. Perhaps the truth lies in the middle, not a grand conspiracy, but a series of acts, each small, each deliberate, that chipped away at Alexandria's soul until nothing remained. The haunting question this theory of religious zealotry leaves us with a shiver. Did the library fall to flames lit by faith, its scrolls deemed too dangerous to endure? The evidence leans toward entropy over malice, but the whispers persist. In the silence of Alexandria's ruins, we hear the echo of a purge, not just of buildings, but of ideas. And we wonder, what was lost that we can never reclaim? Political power plays, Rome's iron grip in the grand theater of history, where empires rise and fall like tides. There lies a shadowed tale of ambition and control, a tale that suggests the disappearance of ancient Alexandria's brilliance was no accident but a calculated strike by Rome, the eternal city. Picture the Library of Alexandria, its scrolls brimming with the accumulated wisdom of the ancient world, standing as a defiant rival to Rome's burgeoning dominion. What if this jewel of the Mediterranean was not lost to chance but crushed beneath the iron grip of a jealous empire, determined to snuff out a light that threatened its supremacy. This conspiracy theory casts Rome as the orchestrator of Alexandria's fall, a political power play shrouded in the chaos of war and the silence of forgotten motives. Step closer, and let us peel back the layers of this sinister enigma. The context: a rival too bright to ignore. Alexandria, founded in 331 BCE by Alexander the Great, was no mere city. It was a vision of a world united under Hellenistic ideals. By the time Rome's shadow stretched across the Mediterranean, it had become a colossus of culture and intellect. The library, established under the Ptolemies, housed the works of geniuses, Euclid, Archimedes, Eratosthenes, while the Pharos lighthouse guided ships to a port that rivaled Rome's own Ostia. Under Ptolemaic rule, Alexandria thrived as Egypt's capital, its wealth and learning a beacon that outshone the rough-hewn hills of Latium. Rome, emerging from its republican cocoon into imperial splendor, could not abide such a competitor. The Republic had conquered Greece by 146 BCE, and its eyes now turned south to Egypt, the last great Hellenistic kingdom. Alexandria, with its intellectual prestige and strategic harbor, posed a dual threat: a cultural rival that mocked Rome's nascent literary tradition and a political thorn that bolstered the Ptolemies' independence. Could it be that Rome's leaders, generals, senators, emperors, saw the library not as a treasure to preserve but as a symbol to shatter? This theory posits that the city's fall was no passive decline but a deliberate act of sabotage, executed through a series of calculated blows. Caesar's fire, the opening salvo. The conspiracy ignites in 48 BCE, when Julius Caesar arrived in Alexandria amid a civil war between Cleopatra VII and her brother Ptolemy XIII. Trapped by an Egyptian fleet in the harbor, Caesar ordered his troops to burn the ships, a tactical move to secure his position. According to Plutarch, the flames leapt from the docks to the city, consuming the great library in a catastrophic blaze. The historian Livy, echoed by Seneca, claimed 40,000 scrolls perished. Here, the theorist pauses. Was this fire truly an accident, or a spark deliberately fanned to weaken Alexandria's spirit? Caesar's own account in the Commentarii de B. Secret societies, keepers of the flame, imagine the library of Alexandria not as a pile of ashes but as a treasure chest, its contents spirited away in the dead of night by cloaked figures moving through the shadows. What if the disappearance of this ancient citadel of knowledge was not a destruction but a deception, a grand heist orchestrated by a secret society sworn to protect its secrets? This conspiracy theory casts aside the flames of history's conventional tale, suggesting instead that the scrolls of Alexandria endure, hidden in vaults known only to a select few. These keepers of the flame, be they an ancient order of scholars, a precursor to the Freemasons, or a cabal lost to time, hold the keys to a legacy too potent to be left in the open. Step into this labyrinth of whispers, where the past is not lost but guarded, and the truth dances just beyond our reach. The premise, a rescue from ruin. The Library of Alexandria, at its peak, was more than a collection of papyrus, it was a living testament to humanity's quest for understanding. From Euclid's geometry to Aristarchus's heliocentric whispers, its shelves cradled ideas that could topple empires or reshape the cosmos. Yet history tells us it fell, to Caesar's fire in 48 BCE, to Aurelian's wars in 275 CE, to Theophilus's zeal in 391 CE, or perhaps to Umar's conquest in 642 CE. Each blow chipped away at its grandeur, leaving us to mourn a cultural cataclysm. But what if this narrative is a lie? What if the library's apparent demise was a ruse, its treasures smuggled away before the torches could claim them? This theory begins with a tantalizing premise: the library's scholars, those brilliant minds of the Mouse Ion, foresaw its peril. They knew the tides of war, religion, and politics would not spare their sanctuary. Rather than watch their life's work burn, they acted. Under cover of chaos, perhaps during Caesar's siege, or amid the Serapeum's fall, they gathered the most precious scrolls and entrusted them to a clandestine brotherhood. This order, bound by oaths of silence, vowed to preserve Alexandria's flame, passing it through generations like a sacred relic. The question lingers: who were these shadowy guardians, and where did they take their prize? The candidates, orders in the shadows. Who might these keepers be? The theory offers tantalizing suspects, each shrouded in mystery. One possibility is an ancient guild of scholars, a remnant of the Mouse Ion itself. These men and women, philosophers, mathematicians, astronomers, lived for knowledge, not power. As Alexandria trembled under Roman boots or Christian fervor, they could have formed a secret pact, spiriting away texts like Ptolemy's Almagest or Callimachus's Pinox to hidden caches beneath the desert sands or across the sea. Their order might have faded into obscurity, their mission complete, leaving no trace save the survival of certain works through improbable channels. Another candidate emerges from later centuries, the Freemasons, whose rituals and symbols echo the ancient world. Masonic lore claims roots in Egypt, with tales of wisdom preserved from the pyramids to the Enlightenment. Could their predecessors, perhaps a proto-Masonic sect, have intercepted Alexandria's legacy? The library's geometric and astronomical texts align eerily with Masonic obsessions. Think of the compass and square, tools of Euclid's trade. Imagine a network of initiates, moving scrolls from Alexandria to Byzantium, then to medieval Europe, their secrets encoded in cathedrals and manuscripts. Or consider a wilder notion, the Illuminati, that elusive specter of conspiracy lore. Though their supposed founding came centuries later, some whisper of an older lineage, a cabal of enlightened minds stretching back to antiquity. The library's disappearance could mark their genesis, its knowledge fueling a hidden agenda to steer humanity's course. Such a theory stretches credulity, yet it stirs the imagination. What if Alexandria's light burns still, in the hands of those who watch from the shadows? The evidence. Threads of survival. The conspiracy gains traction from a curious fact. Some of Alexandria's wisdom endured. Ptolemy's Almagest, a cornerstone of astronomy, survived through Byzantine and Islamic hands, its journey a testament to careful preservation. The works of Aristotle and Plato, once housed in the library, reached the Renaissance via circuitous routes, monasteries, Baghdad's House of Wisdom, Venetian libraries. How did these texts escape the chaos that claimed their home? The conventional answer credits scribes and translators, but the theorist sees more, a deliberate chain of custody, guided by unseen hands. Consider the Antikythera mechanism, a 2nd century BCE marvel fished from a Mediterranean shipwreck. This intricate device, capable of predicting eclipses and planetary motions, hints at technologies born in Alexandria's workshops. Its survival suggests that not all was lost. Could it be a breadcrumb left by the keepers, a clue to their hoard? Fragments of Heron of Alexandria's writings on automata and pneumatics, preserved in Arabic translations, add fuel to the fire. These threads weave a tapestry of possibility, a secret society, salvaging what it could, ensuring that the ancient flame flickered on. The hiding places, vaults of eternity. Where might these treasures lie? The theory spins a web of possibilities, each more evocative than the last. Beneath Alexandria itself, perhaps, in catacombs or submerged chambers sealed against time. The city's harbor has yielded Ptolemaic relics, statues, columns, a sunken palace. Could a watertight vault, buried by earthquake or flood, hold the library's heart? Divers probe the depths, but the sea guards its secrets well. Beyond Egypt, the trail leads to Byzantium. When Constantinople rose as Rome's heir, it inherited scraps of Alexandrian learning. The imperial library there, though destroyed in 1204 CE, might have been a waypoint, scrolls smuggled east by fleeing scholars, then dispersed again as the Crusaders closed in. Monasteries like Mount Athos, with their ancient codices, offer another refuge. Or perhaps the keepers ventured further, to the deserts of Central Asia, where Silk Road caves have yielded manuscripts older than Christendom itself. The boldest claim points to Europe's secret vaults, the Vatican, with its labyrinthine archives, or Masonic lodges rumored to conceal esoteric texts. Imagine a dusty tome, its papyrus brittle but intact, locked behind iron doors, a silent witness to Alexandria's survival. Such fantasies thrill, yet they elude proof, leaving us to wonder, is the library out there, waiting? Analysis, myth or mastery? The skeptic raises a torch to this theory, and shadows shrink. The library's decline was gradual, fires, wars, neglect, not a single moment ripe for rescue. Surviving texts owe their existence to known chains, Byzantine monks, Islamic scholars, Renaissance humanists. No cryptic symbols or secret handshakes mark their path. The Antikythera mechanism dazzles, but it's a lone artifact, not evidence of a grand conspiracy. Underwater archaeology in Alexandria uncovers stone, not scrolls. Papyrus rots in brine, yet the gaps whisper back. The Mausian scholars were resourceful. Could they not have planned an exodus? The survival of certain works defies odds. Why these and not others? The Freemasons and their ilk revel in mystery. Might their myths hold a grain of truth? The theory falters on evidence but thrives on desire. We want the library to live, its secrets safe with guardians who outwitted history. The Echoes of Today, Alexandria Reborn. Modern Alexandria offers a postscript to this tale. Since the 1990s, divers have plumbed its harbor, retrieving echoes of its past, Ptolemaic palaces, Pharos stones, a submerged cityscape. These finds, while not the library itself, hint at what once was. The Bibliotheca Alexandrina, opened in 2002 near the ancient site, seeks to reclaim that legacy, housing millions of volumes in a glass and steel homage to its predecessor. Do these efforts close the book on Alexandria's mysteries? Hardly. Each discovery raises new questions. What lies deeper still? Could a scroll, sealed in mud, rewrite the past? The conspiracy theorist's heart beats faster at such thoughts, even as the scholar demands proof. Conclusion: the eternal enigma, the disappearance of ancient Alexandria, its library, its brilliance, defies simple resolution. Was it fate's cruel hand or humanity's darker impulses? The evidence leans toward chaos over conspiracy, a slow unraveling rather than a grand plot. Yet the theories endure, not for their truth but for their power to stir us. They speak to our fear of loss, our longing for secrets, our suspicion that history hides more than it reveals. The Library of Alexandria is gone, its scrolls dust or legend. But its ghost lingers, in every book we cherish, every question we ask, every shadow we chase. Perhaps the greatest conspiracy is time itself, a thief that steals what we fail to guard. Or perhaps, just perhaps, the truth waits out there, beneath the waves or beyond our grasp, daring us to find it.